Okay, second year commerce. In the last class, we discussed the parties of a check. Mainly, there are three parties of a check. Number one is a drawer, drawee, and payee. Drawer is an account holder who writes the check. Drawee is a bank who is going to pay the amount. And payee is the beneficiary in whom favor the check has been written. He is the person who will receive the amount. So now other parties of the check endorse the check, then other parties come into the check. That is, one is the holder of a check, endorser, the person who is signing at the back side of the check, and endorsee. So the endorsee is the person whose favor the check is transferred. So he is now beneficiary. Endorsee becomes the beneficiary of the check. This is a check. It is called an open check and it is called a bearer check. Why it is an open check? See, what is this written? Pay Arif Hussain. So means Arif Hussain is the payee, he is the payee and he is the beneficiary of the check. But can you see these words over here, or bearer? What does it mean? It means anyone who is holding the check. Or bearer means anyone who is holding this check. Now we can see this person is an account holder. He is drawer. Drawer writes the check that pay Arif Hussain. Or bearer. It is a very risky check. Why? Because or bearer, this is a phrase. We call it phrase or bearer, which is an open. That is why we say it is an open check. Because anyone, if this check will be lost by Arif Hussain, for example, Arif Hussain, someone has stolen the check from Arif Hussain, or Arif Hussain has lost this check somewhere, anyone can go to the bank and take the amount of 4.8 million. Why anyone can take? Because or bearer, this phrase is open. So what is better, whenever you issue check, for example, you want that only Arif Hussain takes the payment of this check, so better to put the cross over here. Drawer needs to put cross over here. This is not no more open check. Why this is not an open check now? Because or bearer phrase has been written off. So always to make a check more secure, you need to written off the phrase or bearer. Written off means when you will put crosses over here. Now this check is secured now. Why this check is secured? Because only this is an order to Sindh Bank now. It is an order by drawer to Sindh Bank to pay Arif Hussain only, because these phrases are now written off. That is why we other parties we include holder of the check. If the phrase or bearer is open, it means anyone who holds the check and having a legal right to receive the amount of the check. Remember, open checks are always very risky. If you lost the check, anybody who will find the check, they can go to the bank, to the specific branch of the bank, and they can take the payment. A drawer of a check needs to put crosses on these phrase or bearer to make your check very safe. Now, one thing always to remember, always negotiable instruments can be endorsed. We cannot endorse non-negotiable instruments. Endorsement is always on the back side of instrument. In this check, you can see this is the check of Bahraini dinar 127 and this is the drawer of the check. And drawer of the check now endorse on the back side, pay the amount of this check to Riaz. So who is endorser in this case? Asma is the endorser and endorsee is Riaz. Now there are more two parties come in when the check has been endorsed, and those two parties are endorser. Over here this is the endorser and this is the endorsee. Mr. Riaz is endorsed. Now look, elements of a check. What are the elements of a check? When you see the check, what you see on the check? The first and most important element is the date. Number one, we see the date. Number one. The second is the check number. The third element is the name of the bank on whom the check is drawn on. This is the name of the check, the third element. The fourth element you can say is the payee of the check, the beneficiary. This is the fourth element. Fourth element, payee of the check. Fifth element you can say amount. Amount in words. This is amount in words and amount in figures. This is the fifth element. And yes, of course, signature of account holder. Signature. This is the seventh element of the check. The eighth element, you can write the phrase or bearer. So what are the elements of a check? Name of the bank, date, nature of account number, check number, payee, word bearer, amount in words and figures, signature of depositors. These are the main elements of the check. Elements means what we see on the check. We are going to point out the elements of a check on this check. Check number, this is a check number. Date, 1, 2. Current account written over here. Nature of account, 3. Name of the bank, 4. Payee, 6. Amount in rupees and figure, 7 and 8. Signature of drawer, 9. Okay, now look, name of the account holder is written. It's a joint account. This is the joint account because two names we can see on the check. So these and account number. This is basically the account number printed over here. This is the account number. Nowadays, even account number bank prints on the check. So these are the elements of the check. We are going to end the class here now. So inshallah, we will continue the topic in the next class.